Welcome back. The World Bank has published its Global Economic Prospects report detailing how the COVID-19 pandemic has impacted the growth prospects of South Africa and other countries heading into 2021. One of the key findings of the report is how the pandemic has impacted per capita income, with many countries expected to lose a decade or more of per capita income gains. Per capita income is a measure of the amount of money earned per person in a nation or geographic region, and the measurement can be used to determine the average per person income for an area and evaluate the standard of living and quality of life of the population. So let's analyze this and speak to Lavan Gopaul, who is a Director of African Merchant. Good afternoon to you and welcome, Lavan.
Good afternoon, Colin, and good afternoon to all of your listeners. Firstly, I'd like to say, as a start, during the sad period of COVID, many of our friends and family have passed away, and I'd like to issue condolences to all of those that have lost loved ones. These are very difficult times for us all.
Yeah, Lavan, before we get into the business side of things, we always speak to analysts as if you guys are computers and you don't have lives, you know. But I just want to take this moment to appreciate you coming on air when you have been going through a difficult time towards the end of last year and getting into 2021. We just call you and we want on air, but you are looking fine now and you are coping. I can see that, but how has it been for you?
So I think like many South Africans, we've gone through a lot of health issues with COVID. So I wasn't, I didn't go in for a COVID test, but I was quite ill at the end of December. Unfortunately, I'm now back on my feet. But I think many others are still struggling, and COVID continues to be a challenge for all of us.
Yeah, man, we appreciate life and we are happy to see you. Now, let's get back to work, man. I mean, how do you think the markets are going to react to the severity of the latest strain of COVID-19? You know very well that when you try to browse social media, instead of seeing something positive, you see a death report. You see condolences. So-and-so has died. Oh, by the way, I spoke to him 3 days ago almost.
So, firstly, markets are forward-looking. Whatever we observe is always counterbalanced by what the market perceives as a solution in terms of vaccines and how that will get us out of this difficult period. Certainly, there's going to be real impact because of the second wave. There are rumors on the internet that the president may enforce an even stricter lockdown. At this stage, you're already seeing difficulty with international trade. A number of our trading partners are either in lockdown or going through slower periods in their economy. Now, that is certainly going to have an immediate impact on a number of businesses, including businesses listed on the stock exchange. One of the important aspects that I think South Africans are going to find as a reality going forward is because we've lost so many friends and family, this means that active members in the business world will not be at their desks. And so there will be some sort of a change that many businesses will go through. And again, you're going to see an impact on financial markets and on the economy in general because of that.
So can we expect a repeat of the reversal of gains and downturn in share prices or commodities and industries soon?
So let's look at what we're likely to see on the JSE. We've been making record highs, and that comes about for a number of different reasons. Some of it may be moving in concert with the sort of good moves that we've seen in the US, also at record high levels. But some of the other factors that have influenced our gains are probably a handful of shares that are doing very well. Shares like Naspers and a number of internationally listed companies, and that drags the entire index higher. You've also seen some rand strength in recent times, and people are in something of a celebratory mode because the vaccine is about, and South Africa is likely to receive our first installment of vaccines quite shortly. It is also going to be quite a shockwave to markets as we see changes in terms of lockdown legislation. So let's say if the president were to impose a stricter lockdown, you're likely to see the market taking something of a beating. There are a number of other factors which we've become quite complacent about, but with Eskom talking about load shedding and power outage, that is also likely to, in general, affect the economy and filter through to affect the market. The impact of the second wave is somewhat more severe. We're seeing a larger number of people passing away. And because of that reason, you're likely to see something of a deeper impact on the economy as a whole. And that, of course, will also translate into some market losses.
Now, is there hope of the silver lining to the dark cloud that has befallen this nation, as people have been dying quicker than ever, even when they never had comorbidities? Because I hear that the second wave, during this time, even young people are dying, even healthy and fit people are passing on. With the vaccine going to come through, 67% of the South African population expected to be vaccinated by December this year. Do you really think that there's hope?
I do hope that we get that vaccine sooner rather than later. Of course, because we've seen such a large number of people being affected by coronavirus, people that are infected and passing on. There can't be a silver lining to that. I would rather say that we have hope that this vaccine will be effective. Of course, we also hope that it's going to be effective with respect to the South African strain. We have been following stories. BBC has made reports of South Africa in particular having a different strain and the virus mutating. And there's also question marks about whether or not the vaccine that we're about to receive will be effective against that mutated strain. So there are a number of uncertainties, and I hope that many people can just follow the rules in terms of wearing a mask, social distancing, trying to sanitize as often as possible, and the common sense application in terms of your vitamins and other things to make you stronger. For now, though, I don't think there is too much of a silver lining, except for the fact that a vaccine is on our doorstep in a few days' time.
So just finally, Lavan, how do you think the government is going to navigate the turbulence expected in the economy? And is there going to be a short-term recovery with perhaps a precipitation towards a recovery and growth path?
It becomes incredibly complex for the South African government to have a finite plan. There are a large number of uncertainties. Let's start off with the fact that before COVID, we as a country had been knocked down to junk status. And since then, you've seen all of the rating agencies push us into a very, very dark corner. As a consequence, it's more and more difficult for the nation to borrow money, and that's the borrowing that is likely to help us, if anything at all, in terms of public spending. Bear in mind, because of very small activity during the calendar year of 2020, there's been very little by way of tax income, by way of tax revenue for the government. So there hasn't been that full arsenal of spending power that we would have previously had, coupled with the fact that it's now more difficult to borrow money. And of course, because the entire world suffers with COVID-19, everyone's got their begging bowl out requiring funds. It does become quite a complex economics puzzle for the government, and I don't think there's a speedy bounce out of this. I'm sure a number of concessions can be introduced to try and improve job creation and to try and aid businesses, particularly the smaller businesses and the informal sector. But I believe that the recipe for us to get out of this COVID dip will not be a speedy solution, and it's probably going to be a slow and steady climb. I also would like to caution those that are enthusiastic about a stock market making new highs, that can also change quite quickly. So you want to be very cautious with your investment choices. A number of people are looking at the Dow and the JSE making record highs. Bitcoin has also made some new highs. I think it's important for people to be extremely cautious with their investment choices.
All right, thank you very much for making time to speak to us this afternoon. All right, Lavan Gopaul is a director at Africa Merchant, speaking to us about the impact of the new strain on the markets and how they're going to react towards that. We're going to take a break.